Welcome, everyone, to the official debate section of the Charter Review.
Question: what kind of bear is best?
It's a ridiculous question.
False. Black bear.
Well, that's debatable.
Listen, you little wiseacre. I'm smart, you're dumb. I'm big, you're little. I'm right, you're wrong. And there's nothing you can do about it.
I'm gonna have to go ahead and sort of disagree with you there.
I am not going to exploit, for political purposes, my opponent's youth and inexperience.
Welcome again, everyone, all the listeners out there, to another episode of Not Exactly Experts. I'm your co-host, Fur, with my co-host, Rusty. On the show today, we've got a couple new topics, as usual, in the headlines. A little bit of discussion around eSports and Fortnite, the video game that has just been a craze for the last couple of years. And then LeBron James has made some headlines as well with some of the stuff he's done outside of his pro career. So we'll chat on that as well. So Rusty, before we get into the topics, as usual, let's go through some of the polls and kind of recap a little bit of what we chatted about in our last episode.
Yeah, let's do that. There's one poll I wanted to go back to a couple episodes ago. We talked about, if you want to hang out with one person, one celebrity, who would it be? And, I talked about Chris Pratt, love the guy. And the other guys kind of sided and said Justin Timberlake, Jimmy Fallon would be fun to hang out with. They'd both be a blast, right? But we put that poll out there on Facebook, and it was pretty close. I was actually surprised. I kind of thought JT, Jimmy Fallon, were going to run away with it and slaughter Chris Pratt, but Chris Pratt won. 60% said Chris Pratt, 40% Justin Timberlake and Jimmy Fallon.
I'm a little shocked.
Yeah.
I don't know. You get two people too, like Justin Timberlake, who's obviously massively famous, and Jimmy Fallon, super funny. Like, how did those guys not win? I guess Chris Pratt takes home the trophy. People
would rather watch My Little Pony on their couch with Chris Pratt. I knew it. I knew it.
Oh, please tell me he wouldn't have won if that was the case.
Probably not. All right. So that one was a little bit surprising. The other couple we put out had to do with the last episode. First one was, do aliens exist, right? We all want to know, do they exist? And it was really not that close. 70% of people said yes, to only 30% saying no. I didn't know where that one was going to go. That's just such a wild question. You get so many different answers on that, but most people said yes, which again, we all agreed on the episode it was a yes. So maybe we shouldn't be too surprised.
I guess I am a little surprised, though, that it is 70-30. That's pretty heavily weighted for aliens, especially when there's no like hardcore concrete proof, right, for sure that they exist. Did you get a chance, by the way? Did you happen to watch that documentary?
I haven't yet. It's on my to-do list. I've seen it on Netflix. I want to watch it.
So
I haven't watched it yet.
Just to recap of what we chatted about. So there is a documentary about Bob Lazar, who we chatted about in our last episode, and it's incredible. Like, just the stuff that he talks about and some of the things he brings up. Maybe most of our listeners have seen or saw the documentary, and that's why we saw the 70-30 split.
Could be.
It's pretty convincing.
Yep, I agree. So yeah, I think most people believe they exist, which is pretty cool. I guess we'll find out in September, right? Last poll we have had to deal, really not a big topic we talked about, but something we're all passionate about on Not Exactly Experts is the new Top Gun movie. And we asked the question, is Maverick gonna die? And again, it really wasn't close. It was the exact same as aliens exist. 70% though said no, not gonna die. 30% saying yeah, he probably will. So again, it wasn't too close. I said he's not going to die. I think you agreed with me, Fur. Pretty much everybody I talked to doesn't think he will, just because it's Tom Cruise and he's such a badass. Like, he can't die.
Although we learned, neither of us could think of it at the time, but he has died in some movies. But this doesn't feel like one of those movies where he can die.
Yeah, I agree. Someone's going to die, but it's just not going to be Maverick. Can't be.
Can't be Maverick. By the way, That trailer now has 23 million views on YouTube, and I've probably watched it a half dozen times, and it's as good as the time before. So stoked about it.
Yeah, it's got me pretty pumped too. I just wish we didn't have to wait till 2020. It always seems weird when a trailer comes out and then the movie's not out for another 6 to 12 months.
That is kind of a long gap, actually. Yeah, that is surprising.
Insane. Cool. Well, let's get into our first topic. Speaking of YouTube views, freaking Fortnite, man, it is insane. And esports in general, we'll talk a little bit about that. But let's start with, have you ever heard of Ninja? Have you heard of this guy, Fur?
I hadn't until we started looking up, because obviously we knew we were going to talk about this. I'd heard of Fortnite. I've never played it. Have you played it?
Yeah, I've played it. It was one of those things that I heard everybody's crazy about, and I was kind of staying away from it because I'm just like, yeah, whatever. It's just some stupid game. And then somebody told me it was free. I was like, what? So yeah, I downloaded it, and I think me and Jordan played one night. We're terrible. There's a lot of good players out there, and they're probably all 10 years old, and we suck. But it's fun. And it's, like I said, it's free. It's just a no-brainer. If you want to have some fun, download it and play with your friends.
So for those who aren't familiar, Fortnite is a very popular, basically computer or game console.
You can play it on just about anything. Xbox,
yes.
PlayStation, Switch, your phones. You can now download on your phones and play, which I don't know how that works, but you can.
Which is brilliant, really, to make it across all platforms. But it's I believe it's called a third-person shooter game. Essentially, you go around and you try and collect ammo. You try and collect things to build shelters and forts. And then you also, obviously, the main goal is to stay alive. And try and take out the other players.
The difference in this game that I would say compared to other games is, like, usually shooter games, people hide. People hide, and then when you run across, they shoot you, you're dead. You really can't do that in Fortnite because it's timed. Like, they call it a storm, I believe. But at first, you can be anywhere on the map. But as time goes, you slowly have to all converge into the middle of the map. And then eventually, it's just down to, a couple people left. So they make it to where you can't hide, which is pretty neat. But games are done within like 20 minutes. Like you get through a game pretty fast. So people are just playing nonstop games all freaking night. But Ninja is one of the most famous esports video game player. He's a celebrity, really. I talked about it because of views. We talked about YouTube views. This guy gets tons, millions of views on YouTube. And this is how he makes money, is he streams every little bit of his playtime on Twitch, which for you guys that don't know Twitch, it's just a streaming service, just like YouTube for video games that you can record yourself playing and people can come watch it. So this guy, his name's Ninja, but his real name's Tyler Blevins, I think. Which that brings up an interesting conversation too. Why can this guy have a cool nickname, but we can't?
Yeah, that's not fair. Come on.
Probably because he makes $500,000 a month.
Well, yeah, when you've got 22 million YouTube subscribers, I guess you can call yourself whatever you want.
Did you hear that correct? 500,000 a month, not a year, a month.
That's insane.
Playing video games. And he's not even doing competitively there. He's just literally playing it and videoing it and showing people view it, and he makes money.
That's the thing that I don't understand. And I guess maybe this is a question we may have to pose, but to me, it's not that enjoyable to watch someone play. I'd rather play it. But yet here he is. I actually hopped on to one of his live streams earlier today, and he was playing Fortnite, and there were 20,000 plus people watching live right there with me, watching him play.
Three-fourths of them are probably from the ages 10 to 15.
I don't understand it.
It's because it's such a wildly crazy fun game. Like, it's just one of those things that went wild that everybody plays. And so he's one of the best. So people want to get on there and learn. That's really what it's about, is people want to get on there and see what he does. And hopefully they can mimic it and go out there and slaughter people like he does. But I don't think it's that easy. But yeah, it's just insane. The kid's 28. He just turned 28 this year. And he's worth $15 million playing video games. What?
That's insane. It's unreal to me. There's that much money into video games.
Yeah, and it's just gonna get more and more and more. It's insane. So I was looking up some other stats, which are pretty neat. So talking about esports, not just Fortnite, but there's tons of these games that people play competitively. Fortnite is kind of just one of them. But talking about viewership for the Pro-Am tournament for Fortnite at E3, which is a huge video game conference, 6.1 million people watched it, which is pretty insane. I mean, they're talking about watched it on TV.
Wow.
Video games. Like, what? It's just insane. Pretty good for video games. You know, maybe not so good for a football game, but to watch people play Xbox, it's just nuts to me. The top earner, so not talking about Ninja because he does things differently, but the top earner for esports in Fortnite, he makes about $465,000 a year. So that's the guy playing competitively, goes to the tournaments, and obviously he's winning quite a few if he's the top earner. But Fortnite alone, esports says that they pay about $100 million in prize money each year for Fortnite tournaments.
I just had no idea there was so much money into this.
So much money. And a lot of it's sponsorships. So I always knew they played competitively, but I remember just watching, I think it's on TBS, and I was watching something else, and then afterwards esports comes on. I'm like, what the heck is this? And there's just teams. They literally have guys sitting there at their computers and their teams, and they're playing some video game all in one freaking room. And I'm like, what the heck is this? But yeah, it's crazy. It's just nuts. I love video games. I grew up playing video games. I was a nerd. So to me, it just like brings back all those memories of like when your parents and teachers were telling you, quit playing video games. It's rotting your brain. It's a waste of time. Just want to go back to them and say, you know what? Could have been a millionaire. I thought this was pretty funny too. I saw they did some polling too with people that play Fortnite, and 15% of the users said that they have skipped school to play, which obviously isn't great, but that's pretty big when you're talking about millions. We didn't even talk about that. 250 million players. That's how many Fortnite statistically has right now. So 15% of them have said that they've skipped school just to play a video game. 6% of users say they've skipped work to play. So they'd rather play video games there and then go and make bank.
So that tells you there's an older demographic too that's into it too. It's not just like the kids in middle school and high school.
Pretty crazy. So
I assume you saw the Fortnite World Cup and who won and that they just had here at the end of July. This guy named Kyle, they call him Booga, which I'd never heard of before either, won the tournament. So I assume he apparently started from a pool of like 40 million players participated to try and qualify for this. Got narrowed down. They held the finals at Arthur Ashe Stadium, which is where they hold the U.S. Open for tennis. Yep. Which was sold out, by the way. It seats over 23,000 people, and it was sold out for people to watch these guys play. Which, by the way, I didn't realize this. I didn't know how big the stadium was, but into perspective, it actually seats more than Madison Square Garden. Both
it's a big stadium. Both
in New York. The $30 million prize pool, and the winner, which was Kyle Booga, gets $3 million. That's more than Tiger won at the Masters this year. He won $2 million.
Is that right? Should that happen?
I guess it brings up another question, and we talked about this in the past too. Is he an athlete?
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. Are esports really? Is it a sport? Is he an athlete? I don't know if he's an athlete.
I can't say that he's an athlete here. Although I vouch for Joey Chestnut. Simply by his training regimen, right? Of practicing, breathing techniques and stretching his stomach and practicing eating and strengthening his jaw. I mean, this Kyle guy, he's talked about how he spends literally a half an hour warming up his hands to play. Yeah, then he practices 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
So is he an athlete?
I mean, I guess from our definition of it, he kind of has to be.
I think the line is drawn in the sand, and I'm going to say no.
He's not really using his body besides his hands. I don't know. That's a good question. We'll have to pose that one to our listeners, see what they think. I think most people would say no, right?
I think that it'd be closer if you said it's a sport. Maybe you could call it a sport, because a lot of e-games, like, you are actually playing a sport, whether it's Madden or
Yep.
some other sport game.
Although a lot of those really aren't the ones that are played competitively. I looked up the stats on that too. Fortnite's not even the number one as far as esports paying prize money. Fortnite's not even close to number one. It's number 3 right now.
Really?
The other two I've never even heard of. Number 2 is Counter-Strike. So,
I think I've heard
let's
of that.
go back to this. Fortnite is third. It has $71 million has been awarded in prize money for playing Fortnite at eSports. Counter-Strike's number 2 at 80 million. So not too much more, 9 million more than Fortnite. And then there's a game called Dota 2. I might be saying that wrong. Dota 2.
Don't know.
Never heard of it. Never heard of it.
We might be showing our age.
$181 million
God.
has been awarded. It's insane.
That's insane. It's estimated esports is a $1 billion industry this year.
Yeah, and they think it's going to just continue to blow up. It's crazy.
Do you think there will be a day where we start filling stadiums, right, with esports competitions?
It's already happening. It's already just happened. You just talked about it.
But I mean, this is kind of a twice in a yearly deal. Like, is it going to be something that in the next 10, 15 years is just as common as going to an NFL football game?
I think it could be.
Man, that's crazy.
The other thing that I would propose then too, is it and maybe it already is, I don't know, I didn't see this, but is it going to become a college sport? So like literally kids can get a scholarship playing esports for Alabama.
That's just so weird to think about.
If there's money in it, the universities are going to want to get their hands in it. And then they're going to be recruiting kids to play Fortnite.
So I wonder if the reason Fortnite is number 3, because I feel like it's all I've heard about the last few years, is because it's newer. Yeah.
It's newer. Yeah.
So
it'll get there. All right. Well, we got a couple polls, some things we got to ask our peeps what they think. I think the number 1 is it a sport or is he an athlete? Or are they athletes? We gotta figure that out first.
I just don't think there's just no way. This has to be one of the, I hope it's one of the more overwhelmingly deciding polls we've done of if these people are athletes. I just don't see it. Yeah. I don't see how they're athletes. They are skilled. They are skilled at a specific thing, but in my opinion, there's very little athletic ability, a little bit of hand-eye coordination, moving your thumbs around, and some strategy.
Yep. Yeah, it definitely takes a lot of skill. I've played a lot of online video games, and I'm not great. Like, I like to play them, but me and Jordan play Gears of War all the time, and some nights we get on and we're all right, and usually we're getting our butts kicked by what we believe is probably 10-year-olds. So there's some guys on there that are freaking insane, and a lot of it just takes up so much time. That's the thing.
To be good.
Yes, to be good, it has to be your job. Like you were talking about, who was it? The kid that won the World Cup of Fortnite practices for 6 hours. I guarantee there's guys that play nonstop.
It's unreal.
It's not real good for the soul, but hey, apparently it's helping the pocketbook.
All right, moving on.
Our second topic. It's a pretty controversial one. I think I have mixed feelings on it. I've seen the videos. We're talking about LeBron James. Not the normal LeBron James, conversation of is he the GOAT? Is he better than Michael Jordan? Is he the best player of all time? Not that conversation, but is he too much? Is he celebrating too much? Is it just way too much when he's at his kids' games and he's halfway on the court, giving the players high fives, jumping up with them, getting in the freaking layup lanes before the game and dunking? Like, what is going on?
First off, I guess my question is, was he the coach?
No.
I didn't think he was.
No.
So as a coach, can you even tell him no? Like,
Yeah,
if you're
you
the
can't.
coach, what coach is going to say, LeBron, look, no more tomahawk dunks in our layup lines before the game?
I'd love to be there when they tell him that.
Oh my God. And what would he do? Like, if this really did happen, do you think he would honor it? Or do you think he would be like, dude, really? Like, come on.
He would. But
I don't like it. I guess I don't know. I don't mind as much before the game. So, right before the game, he's out there with the team doing in the layup lanes, doing his dunks whenever it's his turn, giving them fives. That doesn't bother me as much because the game hasn't officially started. Although at the same time, I go to the other side and say, like, look, why is he even down there? Like, it's the players. He's not playing in the game. He has no reason. If I'm a dad and I'm at my son's game, I'm not going to be down there doing layups. But flip the coin, it's LeBron James.
Yeah. So I think that's where people get upset is like he gets away with all of this because he's LeBron James, because he's in consideration of one of the best players of all time. So that's where it's weird. And then I have mixed feelings on it because I'm like, at first I was pissed. I'm not a big LeBron fan to begin with, but I'm like, he should not be doing this. This is ridiculous. And then I was like, man, if it was my kid and I was LeBron James, I'd probably be getting hyped too, but I don't think I'd be running halfway on the court. Like,
no.
You can get in your seat, celebrate, yell his name, like act like a fool from your seat. Don't bother anybody. But when you're running on the court and crap, like, I would just think it's got to make the other team feel like crap, like, or the other dads in the state.
I've tried to put myself into those shoes, right? So what would I think, one, if I were a parent and my son was on the same team? I'd probably think it's pretty cool. It would be my guess.
And I think they've actually asked the other teams and stuff, and they're fine with it. They're like, it's freaking LeBron James. Like,
and that's
he
the
can
same
do
thing.
whatever he wants.
If I were the dad on the opposing team, especially before the game, then layup lines, I'd probably think that's pretty cool too.
Yep.
If I'm the opposing coach, I may not like it simply because I think it's a massive distraction. I want him. I would turn down that left and right. I do not want him out. Now, if it's during the game though, where do you draw the line? Because if LeBron can come out when, his son does a cool, which wasn't even that great of a play. He made like a basket or something. I don't even think he dunked it.
It was like an alley-oop.
So he comes out on the court. I don't know if a timeout was called. It's kind of hard to tell. But he comes out on the court, gives his son like kind of toward the baseline on the other end as his son's hustling back on defense, if you want to call it hustling. And comes out on the court and like gives him 5 and stuff. I just have a problem with that. I don't think anyone should be allowed on the court. And honestly, I think it's the referee's job to keep them off the court. Yeah. Regardless of if it's LeBron James or not, it's for the player's safety. I do not think anyone should be allowed on the court that's not in the game playing.
Yeah. Someone brought it up. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Jason Whitlock, but there was a game that LeBron James played in the NBA where his mom was in the seats, and I don't remember if LeBron got hit or something. She was mad about a play, and she got up and she was screaming, being ridiculous. And he looked over and he said, "Mom, sit your ass down." And she did, and shut up. And I think it was Jason Whitlock that said that. He's like, you need to take your own advice and sit the hell down and freaking just watch the game and celebrate from your seat. We're fine with that.
I guess my question is, why is he even doing this in the first place? Like, is it an ego thing for him? Or does he think it's helping? Does he genuinely think it's helping his team?
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, some of it might, I don't know what kind of upbringing LeBron had, but maybe it's, hey, my dad wasn't there for me, so I'm going to be ultra there for my kid and just celebrate the hell out of everything he does. Even if it's just a pass, I'm going to go out there and give him a high five. I don't know. Like, maybe LeBron just likes to be in the headlines. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a little too much. It's maybe in warm-ups, but during the game, you need to stay in your seat, bro.
It's a little outrageous. Like, I guess here's the thing. If, say it was another NBA player, not LeBron, some guy, let me think, I don't know, Frank Mason. I don't know, some other NBA player.
What if
that's
it's a
not
has-been?
huge.
What if it's a has-been, like a Karl Malone or something, or a Scottie Pippen?
That's what I'm
that's like,
saying.
wasn't the
If any of
star.
them, if any of them were the one doing it, is it acceptable? Like, would people get mad? That's what I want to know.
And then maybe this is what your beef is with LeBron. I don't know what other player would do that.
Exactly. I don't even think Michael Jordan would.
No. I just don't see. Obviously, it's probably not happened before, or else we would have heard about it, I would think. Yeah, I just don't see anyone else doing it.
Me either.
But if they did, would they get away with it?
That's what I'm asking. I
What do
don't
you
think
think?
they would. I don't think they would at all.
Probably not. Maybe.
But it also probably wouldn't even make the headlines. Like, we wouldn't even know about it.
It could be. It could be.
So here's a couple other questions. These ones can be pretty quick too. Would you rather, so this is kind of a this or that, would you rather be the best college player ever in a sport or be an average pro athlete?
Oh, man. Well, obviously, the only difference here is the big difference is money. Right?
But
I'm
I
gonna
can tell
take-
you, think of Tim Tebow. So this is what I thought of first of all. Like, Tim Tebow was at his time the best college athlete of in football when he was playing. I think most people would say that, or at least consider it. Terrible professional. He just didn't fit in. He wasn't that athletic. He was just, again, a beast in college. But he's probably made tons of money from selling books. I mean, the guy never has to probably buy a meal again. Everywhere he goes, people know him. He's such a big celebrity that he could do whatever he wants now. Like, he goes and speaks and makes money.
For me, I think I'd rather be top college player.
I
And
think so, too.
the reason being is you're the best at something. And I just, to be at the top, right? To be at that pinnacle of something is a much better feeling than to be average at something else where you may make more money.
The only argument I would have against it, so I'm with you. I would rather be the best college player ever in a sport than the average pro athlete. But I think the argument against that is, like, you think Tim Tebow or somebody that is crazy popular in college is, can he have a normal life? Like, can he go out and go to a movie without people seeing him and being, oh my God, it's Tim Tebow? Like, if you're at least an average pro athlete, you're making pretty dang good money. You're playing a freaking game that you love, most likely. And people probably still don't recognize you when you go out. Like, there might be those one-offs where somebody's like, oh my God, it's Frank Mason. Like, you know what I mean? But that's the only argument I'd have against is, like, the average pro athlete can still have a pretty normal life, make good money, and play a freaking game for a living.
That would be a perk. That's true.
This one has nothing to do with any of our other topics we've talked about, but I just want to know, how mad can you get when a restaurant screws up your order?
Well, there's a lot of variables into it. How bad is it screwed up? How long did it take to get there in the first place? I mean, if it's good service, if the waitress is really nice and it comes in a timely manner, and I'm not hangry.
There's the kicker if you're hangry.
I mean, screw ups happen. So the beef I have is when it's one thing after another after another. You come in, you wait forever. No one comes and even asks for drinks. Someone does finally come. They're rude, right? And then once you finally do get to order, 40 minutes later, you get your food. And if that's messed up, yeah, that's like the straw that breaks the camel's back. I'm furious at this point.
So I can give you an example. This happened to me in the last couple of weeks. Went to get some tacos at a fast food restaurant and went through drive-through. And this place is usually on point. Like, usually I don't have to even think about it. I didn't look in the bag. I get home. They missed half the stuff I ordered. Half of it. I'm like, man, really? If it was one taco, I would have just said, they forgot. Screw it. But half my order, I paid for it. I went back. So I go back, I walk in, tell them what they screwed up. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Let us fix this. So they give me another bag, say, I'm so sorry, sir. Again, I thought it was good. I was like, oh, I told them exactly what I needed. And I get home and they forgot half of the order again.
See, I am saying this is on you, right?
I
when
should
you
have looked.
when you said how bad can you screw up an order, what came into my mind was sitting down at a restaurant.
Oh, I've got
I
many stories.
I can understand if you go to a drive-through, and everyone's guilty of this, right? I do it too. You get what you get your bag and you just drive off. You don't really take the time to look. You're usually in a line. Someone's behind you. You want to keep moving forward. You get home, you open your bag, and your stuff was gone. Now you have to drive all the way back. That's a pain. I can understand that being frustrating.
Yeah.
But that's
It was on me
preventable.
the second time. I just assumed, I was like, man, if I tell them exactly what they messed up and I'm upset, they're going to get it right. They didn't.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how upset were you?
I didn't like call and chew anybody out. I told them when I went there that I was mad because I got all the way home and didn't have half my stuff. Like normally I get it if they forget one thing or you say ketchup only and they forget that. Like in fast food, that stuff happens. When they forget half your order, man, that's ridiculous. But I'm with you. Like, so my dad grew up in the restaurant business and he's big on like, if they screw something up, you have to tell them because it's the only way they're going to learn. It's the only way that people are going to get better is you got to let them know. You don't have to be a jerk about it. So yeah, if people are screwing stuff up when I'm in a sit down restaurant, I think you expect top notch service. You're paying for it. That's a little bit different. I've never just fully blown up on people, but I've been out in bigger groups when something went bad and they blew up on people and man, it's embarrassing, but I just didn't know what was socially acceptable. I was just curious.
What is social? At what point do you? And this we could use this for another topic sometime. But at what point do you not tip? Like
I always tip. If it's really bad, I tip like the least amount, like 10%. And then
even if your service from the waiter, what if he or she is just a super jerk, completely rude? You still tip?
I do because what sucks is like, dude, they make like $2 an hour. So if you don't tip them anything, like they're making nothing. And they even if the service was bad, they still served you. But I always write a note on there if it's bad, and I say, usually it's something uplifting of, hey man, try to have a better day or something. Or sometimes I've literally written like, tip could have been better, service was lacking, something on there to just let them know that I'm not just a bad tipper. I'm doing this based off performance.
Why not tell them earlier and say like, look, hey, is everything okay? Is your day going all right? Like, and give them that opportunity to maybe they don't realize they're being, a jerk. Then if their behavior stays the same, do you still tip?
Probably. I've always grown. I think that's how I was taught is you always give a tip. It's low if it's bad. You tip really good for when you have good service. That's just what I've always done. So I'm assuming if you get bad service, no tip.
So typically, and I've had this happen before where I've had a waiter or waitress that was just in a bad mood, something going on. I was like, hey, like, is everything all right? Is your day going okay? And I think it's been happened a couple times, and the times I've done it, they've like literally flipped. Their switch flipped. They kind of were much better mood, and either that or apologized. I've had service before that was really, really bad, and I've not left a tip. Yeah.
Hey.
I guess and my reasoning behind that is I don't want to reward piss poor behavior. If you're tipping someone, right, and if you're giving them money for behaving like a jerk, what's going to keep them from continuing to do that? So, controversial issue.
That's why I give them a note and some words of encouragement to get better tips in the future. Right. And I don't like, especially it's different in the city. Like you go out to a different restaurant, nobody knows you. Where I'm from, if I don't tip, they're bad mouthing me on Facebook.
That's fair. Well, what if you got piss poor service in the city?
Yeah. If it was bad, I might not tip.
Okay, there we go.
If it was really bad, like there was one instance, and this was at in Manhattan with my brother. It was one of his buddies' birthday parties, and we were in the they had like a group room. There was enough of us, probably like 15 of us. And it was mostly guys. And I wasn't, but it was college guys being a little rowdy, obnoxious, just shouting out drink orders, saying stupid things. And our waitress was so bad. Like, she was complaining the entire time of having to work that night, hated having to do the group room because it was downstairs. She had to go up and downstairs all night. Like, she yelled at the birthday boy and told him he would wait his dang turn until she was ready to take his order. It was countless stuff all night. And then we saw the owner on the way out and told him exactly what our experience was. And she got fired.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but she needed a different job.
I mean, that's fair, though. As an owner, you want to...
They're representing your business.
They're representing your business. So you don't want those types of employees there in the first place, especially when you have a 15 top like what you guys were. For one, that's a huge opportunity for her. You may have been obnoxious, but you never know, right? You guys could be a bunch of Richie Riches and everybody tips $20 each, and she could have gone home, with a fat pocket. So.
Yeah. Like, she was bringing wrong orders and people were calling her out on it. Like, I didn't order this. And she's like, yes, you did. It was so bad. It was so bad.
So did you tip that night?
I did. But it was like,
did you leave her a note?
Yes. I left her a note. It was like $1. I think I just said something about her attitude. Like, try to have a better attitude. And I just put $1. Like, it was an expensive meal too. I'm talking like probably $50-$60, and I left $1. So
what's more humiliating, tipping $1 for $50-$60 or nothing at all?
That's what I was raised on, man, is if you leave something. But you're probably right. I'm not an expert on this either.
I'm not either. This is a super controversial topic, and I'm sure a lot of people have a very strong opinion one way or the other.
I know. I hope I'm going to put this poll out there.
Yeah, this is a good poll for sure to see what people think. And I've never been a waiter in the restaurant industry, but I try and put myself in their shoes and understand, look, you can be having a bad day, totally understand it, but you can also put on a fake smile.
Yeah, you got to leave your personal stuff at the door when you check in.
Or if I'm a waiter and I know I'm doing crummy and I'm just not in a good mood, I'm not going to expect to get tipped well. That's the other thing. It's like I know better. I'm going to expect to miss out on some money.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, I was never a waiter either. I did fast food, so I've been on that side of things, which
Did you work at
not
Sonic?
A fun job. No, Jared did. My brother did. I worked at Quiznos.
Quiznos, that's right.
Quiznos for 3 years. At a truck stop, so I've seen just about anything and everything. I can tell you one hilarious story. So
Please.
we're at a truck stop, so we got a lot of truck drivers. Truck drivers can have crazy personalities. Some of them are real nice, some of them are just out there weird. We get this one guy, and he had a coupon. He orders some steak sandwich, has a coupon. I go to ring him up, and I'm like, yeah, you can't use this coupon here. We had some crazy rule where they couldn't use it at Quiznos. They had to go to the gas station counter, and they could use it at the gas station, but you couldn't use it at Quiznos. So I'm ringing up. I tell him, hey, we can't do that. And he's like, bull, can't. Like, wait a second, bro. I don't make these decisions. I'm not Mr. Quiznos. I have a name tag here. I just work here, right? Like, I'm sorry, man. This is the rules. And he's getting so mad at me, like literally telling me he's going to kill me type stuff. So I'm like, whatever. I go get my manager. She comes out there, and she's hot because I told her what was going on. She pretty much tells the guy to go F himself and like chucks his sandwich across the room, and it hits the wall and just makes a big scene. He's like, we're not serving this asshole, and chews him out, and he eventually leaves. But I was just trying so hard not to laugh.
What did he do when she threw the sandwich?
He just left. He's like, what the F ever? And just left. It was great. That was probably my fondest memory of working at Quiznos.
Wow.
It was good. And she even told him, she's like, literally, I will walk you over there. You can take that coupon over to the gas counter. You don't even have to buy anything. They'll give him the coupon. They'll give you $5. You can bring it back. And he's like, no, I'm not doing it.
Just stubborn.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Man. Yeah, it was fun.
You out there, candy cane?
Yeah, he was definitely one of those. Yeah. Good stuff.
We have anything else?
Here, this could be a quick this or that. What do you think's more important to a team's success? Better players or better coaching?
Oh, man, I think it depends on the sport, but if we're going this or that.
Let's say football. Football's a big topic. There's training camp right now. In football, do you think the players matter more or the coaching matters more?
I'm going to say coaching.
Yeah. I think I probably would too, because it's such a team sport.
Yeah, there's so many guys on the field at once, right? Whereas when you have sports that there's fewer players at once, like basketball where there's only 5, I think it starts to go the other way a little more. But when you've got,
you put LeBron James on a team, the team's going to be pretty good because he's 1/5 of the team, right?
Yeah. But when you've got 11 out at once, right? I just think that makes coaching that much more important. And I mean, maybe I know he's either a love or a hate, but Bill Belichick would probably be a pretty good example of that.
Yeah.
And from a professional standpoint, obviously he's got a good quarterback that helps, and he's had good players along the way, but he just comes prepared, right? It doesn't matter what team it is, and I know this is a sour topic for you, but it doesn't matter what team it is. Like, he always has a game plan, and I think that is a massive advantage that he has over a lot of other coaches. And if you want to go locally, if you want to talk Kansas, I would argue, back in his prime, Bill Snyder is a perfect example of that too. Coming in and getting these players that are off the radar, that are not big time names, and coaching them to a point where they were a dominant factor for many, many years. If you look at the year he left and the year Ron Prince came in, K-State went down the drain. And then you look at the year he comes back and they're back up again. I mean, you can't attribute that to anything other than coaching.
Yeah, and especially it's obvious, like Bill Snyder leaves, Ron Prince came in. The next year it was bad, which those are mostly the same players. Like some graduated, some moved on, but your nucleus of the team was the same. Like, coaching in football is huge. It doesn't matter if it's college or pro. Coaching matters. I always talk with Jordan about this: is who made the team, the dynasty? Was it Bill Belichick? Was it Tom Brady? Who knows? I tend to think it's Bill Belichick, because he just has his team ready for any situation. They're the best situation of football. It doesn't matter what comes at them. They're prepared. Everybody's going to do their job. It's what they do. They're insane.
So this or that,
Mm-hmm.
which is worse? Usually we kind of pick a which is better. Which is worse? Having to go back for the first day of school after summer's over.
Yes. Nothing's going to top that.
I don't even think we need a that to
What is your that? Give me a that.
I don't know what else it could be. What could be worse than that? I agree. Going back to school is the worst.
Oh my god.
It's coming up.
Like, you dread it. Like, it's the countdown once summer starts.
Because you just have this freedom, right? You're
Yeah.
especially if you're in middle school or high school, you may not have a job, or if you do have a job, it's something pretty simple, and you're just free every day. You can do what you want. You can stay up until 4 a.m. and play Fortnite.
It's the best feeling in the world.
And then school comes and you have to start getting up early. You have homework. So I was going to say, which is this or that? Which is worse, the first day of school or the week before finals, where you have a bunch of studying coming up?
Definitely the first day of school.
I agree.
Oh man.
So for this episode shout out, I want to give a big plug to Urban Table KC. I was there a week or two ago and had the red trout, and it was absolutely freaking phenomenal. So typically, and I'm not a huge fish fan. I'm not a massive one. And so I typically tread lightly with fish, but this was so freaking good. I literally ate both the meat and the skin of the fish, which makes it sound kind of gross, but it was phenomenal. By the way, one of the sides was Brussels sprouts, which sounds gross. The Brussels sprouts were amazing. This place is so good. So if you're in the Kansas City area, go check out Urban Table KC. It is fresh, made from scratch food, modern Italian-American bistro, and it is so good. All right. Well, I think that wraps it up. Little more randomness today. A couple main topics, obviously, talking about Fortnite and eSports, and then a little bit of LeBron James. So thank you all for listening. Be sure and check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all social media. We've got a presence just about everywhere, I think. Like our stuff, comment. We'll catch you next time. On behalf of my co-host Rusty and myself, we'll see you guys later.
'Cause I'm coming for the trophy. Fortnite, let's go. I get it all night for sure.